Hi, my name is Peter Grauer, and I'm going to be speeding through this stuff really quickly because I'm going to talk a lot about AI art, and I'm going to be talking a lot about Vocaloid music production. So obviously, I will talk about what I am referring to when I mean AI art, because I'm talking about AI art on the kind of smallest, most amateurish element of production. But in the case of this presentation, we will be talking about ways that AI art kind of represents some more ontologically hollow representations of creativity when it comes to community building. And the Vocaloid community, which has been around for 20 years but hasn't really received that much academic attention, really strongly embodies what an online creative community can look like. Before that, however, I want to, and also, because this was made in presentation, yes, the background image for most of this is AI generated, which is the obvious layup joke for this presentation. But otherwise, just really quickly, we will talk, just as background introduction, I will talk about AI art and some basic things, or basic line in the sand I'm drawing between what I am calling art about AI, or AI art about AI, and the AI art I'm referring to. And then I will get into talking about Vocaloid music production and the Doujin art community. After that, we will get into comparisons between the two communities in terms of rhetoric and how they approach the process of making art. And from there, we will conclude with why AI art is here and what it makes us forget otherwise. So when I'm referring to AI art about AI, I'm specifically speaking to the idea that I'm specifically speaking to complications. I'm specifically speaking about complications related to ownership of AI, which is what has been brought up in a few different presentations thus far. For example, this work by Tom White is in a series of AI-generated risograph prints called the Perception Engine series that are abstracted for human viewers while being legible to image recognition programs. This type of AI art project bridges the gap between something of a science and art project because it's creating works for commercial gain, but it's also sort of a science project in the sense that it is illustrating something about how the AI system works itself. Likewise, this is why Hito Steril, who came up previously in someone's presentation, I can't remember, I think it was yours, yes. Hito Steril suggests that we should be using the term statistical renderings because it foregrounds the numerical underpinnings of AI-generated images as opposed to implying a degree of authorship on behalf of the AI artists themselves. These images are Tom White's prints, but they are also, more specifically, images belonging to the AI itself. Ultimately, Perception Engines is representative of an art historically valuable AI art project in that its internal meaning is demonstrating how the AI works itself. This is not what I'm going to be talking about, though, because the specific type of AI that I will be talking about clogs up our Google image searches, has armies of bots reposting them for engagement metrics, and has people making essay-length Twitter threads about avoiding. This deluge of AI art sludge effectively turns viewing any image on the internet into a Turing test of sorts. Because AI art is shockingly hard to detect, unless you are looking for very specific artistic and anatomical details that can inform you of that. This type of massively accessible AI-generated art also exists in a limbo of legal gray areas because companies like Midjourney have to be tight-lipped about whether they or what they're using in their AI systems for training data. And then you will see someone like Jinga Zhang here who, once a leak at Midjourney happened, it came to light that 20,000 of her photographs were included amongst the training data. And it also bears mentioning that this might become more regular, as newer models of AI past the point where we are currently at require even more training data to improve their current image generation. This nicely dovetails over into talking about Vocaloid, because Vocaloid software is fully ethical in most cases. There are newer Vocaloid softwares that use AI systems, but For the purposes of the conversation we are going to be having today, the Vocaloid systems here are essentially just voice banks of phonetic sounds recorded by a singer, voice actor, or whatever. In this case, Saki Fujita, who made the voice bank Hatsune Miku, which will become vitally important to the latter half of this discussion, was recorded in 2006 by the company Krypton Future Media Corporation. And she still gets residuals of it off today. Vocaloid systems is functionally similar to AI voice generation systems in that they do recreate the voice, and you can incorporate them into music production, controlling pitch, tone, lyrics, and how fast they would even be able to say it. But it still has a distinct synthetic sound that is identifiably a Vocaloid track. It's not trying like some AI voice generation systems or AI video generation systems where it's trying to impersonate reality in this case. There is an intentional level of artificiality that is nonetheless interesting to encounter. And this is where Hatsune Miku comes into play. As of 2006, Miss Saki Fujita's voice bank was created, and they created the character Hatsune Miku to give the voice bank a literal personality of sorts that they could help better market. And because this is a Japanese company, this filtered immediately into the doujin or self-produced art market down there, in which people would just work on established media franchises, their favorite anime, TV show, or other music projects, and make works inspired by that or continuing off of that. And they swiftly adopted the Hatsune Miku character because the visual presence that she has is core. It's very cute, and there's no real professional way to say other than they have spent 20 years making art over a cute character they like. And I will be highlighting some other videos across this, but let's talk about AI art, rhetoric, and intention. Between with the AI art community, I want to address why I'm drawing a comparison between these two communities. Firstly, the difference between each community in terms of rhetoric and intention are drastically different. Spend enough time poking around AI art Twitter, and you are bound to stumble upon AI artists or developers posturing about the potential of solving art effectively. And in this case, yeah, this tweet does not exactly give the sense that they're really interested in making art so much as kind of producing something immediately that sort of solves art in this moment for them. While more scientific studies have found that people naturally devalue any art, regardless of its make, when it's labeled as AI art, that juxtaposes against people who will often kind of bemoan regular artists on social media platforms for even continuing to say, oh, I don't want my art used for AI training purposes, or to just say, I don't agree with the precepts of AI art and stuff like that. And these can get really ugly. The reason behind the AI art community's antagonistic presence is, if only in part, because of the breadth of procedural literacy and coding skills required for elaborate AI art production tends to shape the artist's poetic reasoning and exploration and learning. Take these AI-generated character sheets, for example. The people who are generating these aren't really voiced enough in art analysis or art production at this most lowest amateur level to really understand that an expression sheet needs to show characters emoting different expressions at different angles and such like that. But really, that isn't their point. They aren't concerned with whether the art is good, bad, or ethical. They're concerned with coding efficiencies and prompt optimization while integrating their own creativity to the extent one can when your production is adjusting keywords. Also, there is mangled artist signatures in the prompt. Nonetheless, I'd also argue that this is why you see AI artists harass people who don't want their art used as training data, as the traditional artists are stopping progress by not wanting their art stolen in this process. Inevitably, the really sad part about the AI art community is that these people really foreclose sometimes on an ability to actually improve themselves over the process of making art. there's not really a sense of friction when you're adjusting keywords in that. And yeah, you can try a whole bunch, but there's a lot of huff and puff about effort and intention and the speculative potential of AI art, but you can't wholly supplant an iterative artistic process just so you can generate a billion art pictures that don't have correct fingers and aren't exactly what you want while wasting a whole bunch of electricity and servers in Silicon Valley. And finally, secondly, the AI art community's continuing existence subtly serves as marketing for AI companies. Corporate interest is consistent between both AI and the Vocaloid community, but the power and money being invested into AI makes this more pressing. There's nothing really more complicated to understand here. The Pandora's box of AI art has been opened, and its instant approval and denouncement in media coverage and any form of discussion serves only to generate notoriety and potential investment. The thought process, hey, the robot can draw better than me, maybe it can stop the environment from collapsing, is an unbelievably successful public relations and marketing triumph that massages society towards technological dependence more than we already have at this point. So what about the Vocaloid community in this case? Do they represent the positive, non-corporatized internet community with non-stop positivity all the time? Not entirely. But the art they make is made by humans for certain. Again, this starts in 2006, so this was also happening around the time that early internet streaming platforms like YouTube or the Japanese equivalent Nico Nico Doga was starting to come into conversation. So you have an interesting scenario where people would attend Comiket or a variety of different fan conventions in Japan, produce works using Vocaloid software, prominently in the form of animated music videos or AMVs, which I will be highlighting in just a moment, and then upload them onto Nico Nico Doga, which eventually make their way onto YouTube, where they are translated, and that is where you get an international community of people who devolve into interest and speculation about what songs mean and to create interesting communities and their own music out of this. And ultimately, this is how you get... Uh-oh. Okay.
She's on that screen this big.
Good.
Oh my god, it actually worked. Hey! So yes, animated music videos because, hey, a lot of art is generally better when you put it towards any music or something like that, and there's interesting intersections that come out of that, but there's also just a diversity that comes out of it as people approach this medium, not only including the character, but obfuscating the character in different ways or representing them in different ways. And this has evolved over a 20-year period, and it's part of the reason why there's just finally starting to be some academic interest in this field. Look at this. This is continuing off of Wawaka's Rolling Girls music video, which was released 14 years ago. And I had to go into an entirely separate website because YouTube won't let me sort by oldest comments anymore. Lovely. But these are comments from digital participants who are examining not only the song, but relating it to the translation, including a traduction, nice Google Translate from 14 years ago, but interacting with the song and understanding its meaning and coming away with how that relates to the visuals. There's such like this embedded feeling of actually processing the visual information and the lyrical community together in this. And that community continues today, which is why I included a more recent comment basically saying, hey, maybe I missed the party, but it seems there is still some sort of conversation that's happening here. And other scholars would agree, including Sanet, who calls this the continual processing, as these videos are never truly finished until they stop receiving comments. Furthermore, these projects are also highly aware of the algorithmic underpinnings of the sites they use. The musician Azari is a great example of this, as they've started various YouTube channels uploading spooky urban legend themed music videos that kind of, it's hard to describe, but they use a HTML coding trick to fill not only their channel title, but the YouTube video title with empty characters, which is a powerful decision in this moment. It turns the algorithmic element of these sites into an interesting experience as, hey, how are you supposed to you got a YouTube video with no title? Well, you have to look at that. And there's something really interesting. It turns the discovery into the experience of the piece itself. Above all, I want to stress the community aspect. The Belgian scene is full of scrappy, hobbyist creatives of all stripes, and most of them are entirely amateurs who do their work to improve themselves while making art they are passionate about, often without substantial gain. That art production methodology has also made its way into the international audience, and I think choosing AMVs as their mode of production has had the additional benefit of necessitating community and creativity in this case. As, yeah, hypothetically, one person can use Vocaloid software, maybe AI on the side or something like that, thinking about different art productions and so on and so forth, to create something. But it is interesting how this system, or the medium that is being chosen, necessitates seeking out other people who can handle the music production element, the lyrical production element, the visual, and communicate in that. Retrospectively, this also means that you can track individual producers, the community term for artists, and find them specializing in either the visual or lyrical components in interesting methodology and adopting interesting methodologies and different lineages throughout that. And to top it all off, yes, there is still corporate interest in this. At the exact same time, Krypton Future Media fully understands that the community built around their software is an undeniable boon to their product. And this is why they've chosen to reorganize their company to support and promote the creation of new AMVs, either by hosting contests, licensing popular songs to create an official canon of sorts, and continually updating the software with additional voice banks and characters. So yes, it's corporately supported in a similar manner as the AI community, especially on places like Twitter and stuff like that, but they're supporting a community of people who are following their passions for an engaged audience of digital observers and actually making really interesting art that is as kind of cheap as it would be saying in an AI art conference, human-made, with a lot of intentionality put behind every decision. In conclusion, while both the AI and Vocaloid community are representative of corporate interests reaching into art production, the AI art community inevitably represents a very limited perception of what art can be at the most amateur level sometimes. If AI art asks us to forget that we can improve ourselves by making art and develop communities around the creation and analysis of real art, the AI art community has accepted the premise to a certain degree, especially at the smallest level. Likewise, the real people who are probably going to benefit the most from AI art inevitably are the people who are interested in having AI injected into as many aspects of our life as possible. In contrast, the Vocaloid community is an amazing demonstration of what an online creative community can look like. And there's a bottomless well of material to analyze at this current moment. And we're also in the middle of a second renaissance built off of joke videos asking, hey, wouldn't it be funny if we didn't have an AI voice singing Weezer? And a collection of different videos highlighting artificiality, kind of the smaller scale stories, and an international community like Ipotsk, who's absolutely worth mentioning in this case, as he is both representing Japanese music production in the style, but he's of Indonesian descent, and he's heavily making music about the political history and social issues of Indonesia and incorporating that. But otherwise, I probably went over time, and I do not want to hold up too long. And these are citations. Thank you for listening.